Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our panel. We're going to wait some few minutes. I'm Lucie Laurendon. I'm the lead of product marketing for supply publishers at Smart. I'm based in Paris, so I don't know where are you guys, but do not hesitate to use the chat to tell me where you are or to ask any question if you have some. So hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. People will join, yes, progressively. So I am Lucie Laurendon. I'm the lead of product marketing at Smart for the supply product. So thank you for joining today. I'm from Paris, based in Paris. And if you want to ask questions along the way, you can use the Q&A chat box on your interface. And now, no better way to start this panel than with the big news of the week. A French competition authority announced its decision to fine Google for its anti-competitive behavior in the Adtech sector. And it completely set the scene for our panel today, taking back control, why now and how. So before starting, I have some dear speakers with me. So dear speakers, I let you switch on your camera and take 1 minute to introduce yourself and tell our attendees who you are, who you work for. Maayan, let's ladies goes first.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maayan Segal. I'm VP Clients at Primis. I'm managing all the demand partners for the company, both direct and programmatic. Smart Ad Server obviously is one of our great partners, and I oversee the relationship with this account. I've been a company for 7.5 years, and to whom of you who don't know who Primis is, we are a video discovery platform. We partner with over 250 publishers globally and recommend and monetize more than 5 billion video pieces monthly. Primis is part of Universal McCann and IPG. They bought us at 2012. And I guess the need for control is a very close issue for us. I think it's part of the core of the company because we do everything in-house. We develop our own technology, our own video player, ad server, monetization stack, everything from scratch. And we're an independent monetization platform yeah, basically that's it.
Thank you, Maayan. Adam, your turn.
Sure. I'm Adam Carey. I'm based in the West Coast in California. I've been in the business for about 20 years. I currently work at IMGUR for the last 3 years. IMGUR is basically has a very lofty goal of bringing 5 minutes of happiness into everybody's life. We all know that a lot of the social media platforms can kind of make us feel a bit blue after and we're competing with each other. We try to foster a real sense of community. We use Smart Ad Server to power all of our direct sold products. We have a 10-person direct sales team, or mostly focused in the US. And we work with some of the largest advertisers in the US market. We recently had McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Heinz, Dell, and Adobe, to name a few. And we consider endemic movies, TV, and video games.
Thank you, Adam. Fabien, last one.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Fabien Magalon. I'm the managing director of Alliance Gravity. So Alliance Gravity is a publisher-owned trading desk. It's also a publisher co-op, like all of the publisher part of the Alliance of Alliance Gravity are mutualizing their data into Gravity, and that's basically what we use to to build value for our customers, agencies, and advertisers.
Thank you, Fabien. So now let's start, but let's make clear for our attendees first what we mean by taking back control. That's the topic of our panel today. So over the past years, the Adtech ecosystem rules are changing because of different waves of consolidation, unilateral decision made by big players, ATT framework, the big privacy wave. And so this is creating uncertainty and risk for our publishers. So as an industry, we can't be passive players. Publishers need to mitigate this risk, consolidate their autonomy, their revenue. And so publishers need to take back control of their most critical asset, meaning content, data, and audience, and in the end, their whole stack. So Adam, do you agree or disagree? And tell us why?
Yeah, I mean, let's see, our content's all user-generated content. So for years, user-generated content was challenged in the marketplace anyway. So that's been a fight. It seems as a publisher, having been doing this for 2 decades, most of that 2 decades, there was some challenge. So it's always been about being flexible. We're leaning into the privacy considerations and the consent. We've accepted that that's the case. We want to empower our users. I mean, that's our whole product, is to empower users to talk about what they enjoy. And so giving them consent, allowing them to opt out of being targeted with personalized ads kind of makes perfect sense to us. We even allow people to opt out of advertising if they want. We've developed a subscription model in order to be able to do that. And then, honestly, we've had to diversify our product set, so we don't just rely on standard ads. We have a lot of native ads now, and we've diversified our ad stack. We're very agnostic on this. We don't have no single source of demand really accounts for more than 20% of our ad revenue right now.
Maayan, on your side, what is your feeling about this topic of taking back control?
So as I mentioned before, it's very important from Primis, and I personally agree that we need to keep the control on our side. So I agree. I think that if we take identity and privacy as an example, we at Primis support the solution out there. If it's Unify ID by the Trade Desk or LiveRamp or ID5, and we constantly speak to Google about their solution. But additionally, we've also developed our own video contextual programmatic targeting in-house that enable to add more ability on top of everything what's going on in the market right now. I know that this is not yet fully adopted, but we believe that advertisers will go there in the near future. And I think that this example shows exactly what control means to us. So you adopt what's going on in the market. We don't deny it. We support all the solution, but we do add our secret sauce on top of it to make sure we're thinking and we're always, innovating. We diversify and we add whatever you think can contribute in the future.
Thank you, Maayan. Fabien, on your side, with the experience of publishers that you have in your alliance, why do you think control is the right word?
Well, basically because recent changes, the one you've mentioned, and I think many more are going to happen in the coming months and coming years. Where basically third parties have massive impact on publishers' revenues. So could be an operating system like iOS, can be a browser like Safari or Firefox, and tomorrow Chrome, can be just regulators that just want to implement privacy laws. So all of these third-party events actually can have brutal impact on publisher revenues, and it's just common sense to try to prevent from that type of impact. And Gravity in itself, as I've mentioned, it's actually a publisher co-op. So Gravity in itself is some way for publishers to try to take back some control, or at least like build something that can help them win back market share in the data aspect. Inside Gravity, our whole business is like I would say right now it's 90% cookie based. So taking back control of how we target users in the foreseeable future is a vital change. And how do we believe that publishers can succeed in taking back control and basically building more independent solution from any sort of third parties? So one, we believe strongly that it's usually all around building talent, having a talent team, so building skills internally and recruiting the right people, etc. Second is about remaining open, like working with walled garden still and working with non-walled garden solution and more of the open web solution. And lastly, when possible, try to internalize. I think both Primis and IMGUR are trying to internalize some solution. I'm sure Maayan and Adam will tell more about it. But what we do at Gravity is for anything related to the future of audience targeting, which is going to be cookie-less or consent-less, basically we try to internalize as much as we can. So for example, we're internalizing anything around contextual semantic targeting. We're internalizing all of the insights, some sort of panel-based type of targeting. We're also internalizing measurement in order to make sure that we can keep growing independently from whatever is happening in the industry.
And so if we talk of what is happening in the industry, and we just mentioned some big changes, Maayan, on your side, what are your main concerns regarding this Adtech ecosystem, this consolidation right now?
So my and our main concern at the moment, I think, is lack of transparency. I think historically, Adtech faced a lot of challenges, and a lot were scary when we look back at them. And now, we grew despite of these changes. And I think as we are maturing and the Adtech is maturing, users and brands on the other end, they want more. And this is a good thing, not a bad thing. And if we all agree that we're growing and the pie is growing, my main concern is how this pie is divided in the market. Who gets more and who gets less, where the money is going. I think that according to latest market researches, about 15% of advertising programmatic budgets are nowhere to be found. And for us, it's a huge concern. And as a lot of the people here spoke about solutions, we at Primis, in order to recover these 15% that went missing, we created sellers.guy. It's basically a tool that helps publisher gain more control over who's really accessing their inventory. And this tool is available for all publishers and companies out there, not just the one partner with Primis, and it's a free tool. And I believe that with this tool and with us fixing the transparency issue, the industry will be more transparent to its partner. And the result of it will be that more budgets from advertisers will be flooded into the markets. And these buyers are currently not feeling safe, and to gain their trust, we need to make some changes.
Thanks, Maayan. Adam, on your side, you were talking that at IMGUR, you were diversifying. Is that one of your main concerns, having all your eggs in the basket for the Adtech ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, actually, where we've been most successful right now, and we're punching above our sort of weight class, is in going outside of the traditional sort of display advertising and video advertising. Our native products are really resonating with those bigger advertisers, and we're getting way bigger budgets than I would have expected. We have things like all ads days where basically 100% of the site is taken over for a day. We have no ads days where we basically don't show any ads except a single advertisement from an advertiser. We've got things like Adtech and our promoted post, which is sponsored content. Those things are really resonating, and it sort of is able to claim that money that some of these walled gardens can't, because they can't offer those things. And that's where we're really seeing the biggest success. The biggest challenge is in the traditional space on the programmatic side, because I use a service called Pathmatics, and I look at where advertisers are spending their money, and it's always the same. It's always YouTube and Google, it's always Instagram, it's always Facebook, and that's like 75% of the money that a lot of these advertisers are spending. So that gives us, right from the get-go, just only 25% of the spend.
Really interesting. Thank you, Adam. And Fabien, on your side, maybe rather with a French point of view, or does French concern are different from the others?
No, surprisingly not. I think so. I completely agree, actually, with all the narrative around, like, we're not getting a fair share of spend, and I think there are many more numbers that can make that point around time spent on a major platform versus time spent on traditional media, and the fact that investment is not matching these proportions. I agree also about like the whole programmatic supply chain, which is, of course, very there is a lot of opacity, and like there are many percentage points that are lost in the journey. But I think the point I wanted to make myself about, like, what is the main concern right now I have about Adtech is more about are my Adtech partners adapting, because we're in that uncomfortable moment where we need to shift completely our business model from using cookies to not using cookies anymore, and that implies many infrastructure and technological changes. And one of the concerns I have sometimes is that I'm not sure our historical partners are aligned in terms of changes we need to make. Like, I think there are many options to work with contextual, for example. But in order to do like very strong contextual, we need also SSPs to pass properly full URL. We need DSPs to easily activate specific URLs. If we want tomorrow to activate universal IDs or probabilistic IDs, we also need to have the whole infrastructure to actually pass the information, etc. And my concern is that right now, like 10th of June 2021, when we talk to a lot of the ad tech players, my understanding is that they're not moving at the same pace. They all have their own agenda, and they all are going to prioritize this or that different solution, which does not exactly fit our needs. So that's my concern of the moment, I would say.
Thank you, Fabien. If we go back to the IMGUR case, Adam, I think so. You are a publisher that put the theory into practice, I would say, with the taking back control. And can you tell to our attendees today who maybe would like to start this move, how you did at IMGUR and what type of action you put it in place?
Well, yeah, specific to the Chrome issue and cookies going away, which Chrome is 65% of the marketplace, right, or 63% of the marketplace. Cookies had already been going away. I mean, Firefox and Safari had already done away with them, and we were seeing lower match rates. When I joined IMGUR, we were using one DMP, who shall remain nameless, and the match rates were so low, it just really wasn't worth the expense. So one of the first things I did was I cut that. We've actually signed, when the news came out from Google that they were moving away from cookies, and I'm glad that they gave us like a 2-year runway or warning. That was nice of them. We basically looked at the DMPs in the marketplace who were offering a post-cookie solution. One of the ones, Permutive, is one of the ones that a lot of people know. Another one that offers a cookieless solution is Carbon, who are based in the UK. So we partnered with Carbon, and we basically had a year working with them. We're building our first party audience segments. It's actually quite amazing how much information we can get from our users, what they sort of tell us by the tags that they're clicking on our site. We are embarking on improving our structured data so that we have more signals around, pet intenders, movie consumption. A little while ago when Disney launched their service, they had a show called The Mandalorian, and we saw, before the marketplace had ever heard of Baby Yoda, we saw that. And now we have the ability in real time to basically target that and retarget any audience who's seen a signal like that, which becomes very powerful in selling that onto an advertiser.
Great. Maayan, on your side, how do you help your publishers to take that decision and to try to get back control and be less dependent maybe on this data, as Adam mentioned?
So I think Fabien talked about it before, but my answer is education. We believe that educating our partner is the key here. We think that Adtech has become very complex, and there are people with not a lot of years of experience doing ad ops work. So trying to really explain our partners the reason behind any decision, what's going on, all the initiatives that are out there, be transparent as possible with everyone, share information and build a better foundation, also internally with Primis and outside with the partners that we have. And I think it's a huge part of the tool that I spoke about, Seller's Guide. We build this tool to help our publishing partners and educate the people working in the Adtech industry how to better use ads.txt and seller.json. And we build a tool to make these initiatives more accessible to everybody, because sometimes they didn't read all the information the IAB provided for every initiative, which is a lot of information. So we try to make things simple and easy to use for them.
Great. And Fabien, on your side, so I think we all agree that it's time to take back control, and that it's a growing trend in the Adtech ecosystem. But why do you think it's now, and why do you think it's growing actually?
So to be honest, I guess we all are, and not just publishers, but like you guys, Adtech people also, and intermediaries like us, we all have to make some changes, and we are forced to make changes by regulators first, and now also by browsers, and as I mentioned earlier, by operating systems. And who knows what's next, to be honest. So for sure, we can't do nothing. So we have to do something, and to be honest, we have to reinvent new ways, better ways, actually, more privacy-friendly ways of targeting ads, delivering efficiency to advertisers, delivering revenues and value to publishers. So because it's a white page, I think everybody right now is contributing. So that's why now is a time where we see so many innovation happening everywhere. Is because I think we all have to make some very strong and important changes to how we've been operating so far.
And if we talk about this changing, especially on the topic of the end of third-party cookie, because taking back control is more wider than that. But if we take just the example of the end of third-party cookie, Adam, do you make tests, and what are the main actions that you take on IMGUR? Do you have some feedback regarding these new maybe targeting methodologies that you are testing right now?
Yeah, I mean, my advice to to any publisher listening would be make sure that you're reading about what's going on in the marketplace, and B, talking to all of the relevant identity solutions out there. The cookies, basically Google's cookie, which covered 65% of browsing, is being replaced. It's being replaced by and fractured into a bunch of different companies, right? You've got LiveRamp is probably one of the most well-known with their ATS solution. There's ID5 that we're talking that we've just integrated sort of like, well, actually we've integrated a couple. We basically every quarter, we've got a couple more identity solutions set up that we're integrating with, and it requires a lot of heavy lifting. There's the engineering side of it. There's a legal side of it. We have to update our privacy agreements. That's negotiation. And you have to start now, ideally, because otherwise it's going to become very painful in 2022 if you're trying to do this after the cookie, the Chrome cookie has gone away. Because we know non-personalized ads are probably going to be 50% of the CPM and value as the personalized one. I think that will change over time, and hopefully buyers who have I think they've been over-reliant on third-party cookies. Hopefully they'll see the value of contextual targeting, semantic targeting, and and first-party audiences. Because honestly, I'll take a first-party audience where there's a fidelity of the signal over a third-party that, Blue Sky, Axiom, whatever, is telling me about a user. I don't really believe that. But if a user tells me I've seen them basically go to this movie or this video game, or they post about cats all the time, I'm pretty sure that I know kind of what their interests and intents are.
Maayan, on your side, do you have different perspective regarding the end of this third-party cookie? So how do you help your publishers?
Sorry. So we help our publishers in many ways, and as I said before, we did adopt all of the identity solution to make sure we're covering every solution out there that we can, obviously. And we did add the contextual layer. As Adam mentioned, we don't feel it's fully adopted, and not even at the beginning of it, but we did a lot of support on our end to be ready to when it is. But we help our publishers in many ways. We try to talk to them a lot, understand the pain points. It's not always about technical things or developing things for them, which we do all the time. If it's integration that we do for them, new companies, supporting all the policy regulation, compliance, GDPR, and so on, developing internal tools for validation and integration with external companies for validation and so on, education them, and more. But we also do a lot of things that are sometimes different than technical things that are more, for example, this year was a hard year for a lot of publishers. Since COVID started, the market was rough, I would say. So we got used to a lot of things. There was also cash flow problem, and we changed payment term to net 15 to be more, to help them. So we try to do like whatever we can to support them, if it's technical aspects or other things.
Great. Fabien, on your side, I know that at Gravity, you are really active on the cookieless side. What did you focus on, especially because we know that there are lots of topics?
So to help publishers, first, what we try to do, as I mentioned, I'm not sure I've mentioned it, but publishers are shareholders of Gravity. So like we kind of have a duty to make pedagogy about what we are learning in our day-to-day business, because I think Maayan mentioned it earlier, but basically publishers, they focus on many other things than just end of cookies, whereas our business is really 100% focused all day long about end of cookies. So naturally, we tend to have a better understanding of what's happening. So we try to share everything we know about it. And in a nutshell, what we've learned so far about what we believe is going to happen in the future around cookieless is that there are many options. Like there are probably 5 different options, we believe, which is deterministic IDs like email addresses or UID, LiveRamp, etc. Probabilistic ID is another option. First-party cookie is another option, we believe. And then contextual, great. We strongly believe into contextual, mainly because it only works in consentless environment. And the last point is the cohort. So anything Google is building around Privacy Sandbox. And what's interesting is when you try to dig into any of these options is that none of them is very likely to have high scale and high accuracy. Some will have very high scale, very low accuracy, or average accuracy. Some will have extraordinary accuracy and probably very low scale. So for example, I personally believe that the deterministic ID is going to be, I think there is a big topic around deterministic ID that no one talks about, is that it probably is going to lack some scale, at least for most of my publishers, I believe. So that's what we try to share. Like we try to basically just share knowledge, and then anyone can pick up on it. And of course, because we are building solution internally, as I mentioned earlier, I think in the journey, what we hope is that we can share some of the product we are building for our own benefit. Also, share the benefits with our shareholders and the members of our alliance.
Thank you, Fabien. So you mentioned here solution to take back control over third-party cookies, but I cannot have this panel without mentioning that this week the French Competition Authority announced its groundbreaking decision to fine Google. So as I mentioned earlier, French Competition Authority decision sets the scene for publishers to take back control, for sure, and of data in particular. So Google already communicated some changes that they're going to make to their ad technology. Fabien, do you think that they are going far enough on that to let publishers take back control?
So yeah, it's pretty strong, big announcement, big number. I would say that, to be very honest with you, I have not read the Autorité de la Concurrence full document, which is like plus 100 pages. So to be honest, I don't know what Google has committed exactly to, and I don't think it's that clear at this stage. Maybe Lucie, but my understanding is that there is room for interpretation about what they're going to change. I think my understanding is that they basically are making a move in the direction of, okay, we want to have better cooperation or technical integration between our ad exchange and external ad servers, which sounds like a great, great news for smart ad server and the other independent ad server out there. However, I think devil is in the details. Like, what does that mean really? Does it mean that ad exchange is going to integrate with Prebit? Then awesome, to be honest. Then that's a huge win for the industry, and publishers have literally taken back control of their primary ad server. Or I think that's the best option for publisher. Second option is just going to AdX like share some data, like share, I don't know, average bid value of AdX, to other SSPs so they can better compete. That's a pretty mediocre improvement, to be honest.
Yeah.
So anyway, I would say, let's celebrate, small wins, and that's at this stage. We don't know if it's a small win or a large win.
Clearly.
But yeah, it's good news. I think it's good news to have the support from the regulators. I'm still, to be honest, I'm still trying to understand what's going to be the real impact of that, of the changes that Google is planning to make.
Yes, for sure, that's the first step to take back control, at least, and that's the first step in the change. And so to conclude, because we're going to run out of time, maybe Adam, Maayan, what would be your advice to publishers who consider to take back control? Maayan goes first.
Okay. So I think I said it before, but I think they need to dive deep into the details. Don't take anyone's word for anything. I think Adtech is becoming more complicated, and I said it. We need to really understand what's going on in the ecosystem. We need to diversify, work with many partners. We said it also, not put all the eggs in one basket. Listen to many point of views. Integrate with many solutions. Educate your team. Don't be cheap with taking young adults, people. Experience is very important. The industry grows and matures, and we need to understand it better and know what we want to do and what we don't want to do and what's okay and good for us. I think people and knowledge is the key, and this is where we need to invest in.
Thanks, Maayan. Adam, your point of view, your last advice?
I think I'd second everything that Maayan just said. I think the only thing in addition to that, it's been very useful, and it's sort of what you were saying with Fabien, like that's his focus. It's very hard just for a publisher who has a bunch of other things they're thinking about to, you know, spend a massive amount of time following all of the, you know, flock and all of these different and the cohorts and what's going on with the legislation. It's great to have a resource. In our case, it's a, you know, carbon DMP, and get yourself one of those possibly, or LiveRamp, etc. Make sure you are talking and integrating those providers, as Maayan said, because you know, I think if you get about five of the biggest ones, you'll probably have maybe like 80% coverage. Maybe it'll be what you have now. Maybe it'll be better than what we have now, you know, from the Google sort of cookies. And then the last thing is make sure you keep your privacy policy updated, because that's got to change, and that you're syncing with your legal people. And then look at other models maybe as well. Look at outside of traditional advertising. Is there native advertising you could explore? Would a subscription model work for you? We're sort of trying everything to allow our users to consume our product however they want to.
Great, and maybe try some campaigns with first-party data with some alliance. Fabien, what do you think? What's your last advice?
Be optimistic, because I think we've been talking about the death of cookies and the growth of privacy for the last couple of years, and we're using always a very you know, terrifying vocabularies like cookie apocalypse. Like, what's going to happen? We don't know. And I think, to be honest, fast forward 2 years later, we're like, okay, it's okay, guys. I think it's gonna be okay. We have a good understanding of what's gonna happen. We basically have options. We are gonna still be able to measure campaigns. We have arguments to compete with the big platforms and you know, social networks, YouTube, etc. So let's get back to some optimism. I think you know, I think we all need that. And the future is brighter than what it sounded like 24 months ago.
That's the good ended word. So thank you, the three of you. I think we have a question. So that was really interesting. Thanks for all your thoughts. So we have a question for you, Adam. Why you do not believe in Axiom BI data? They won't worth something after third-party cookie sunset, but in general, why are they bad?
In every A/B test I've ever done over the years, the performance of and the fidelity of a signal coming from first-party data beats out third-party data. You don't know how those data sets are built. They're in a black box. You can't question them. You can't quiz them. There's an incentive to make. It's a little bit when Fabien talked about his deterministic idea, and the problem will be scale. Well, if you see scale, then probably the signal has been turned down. It's been polluted, right? It's like lookalikes, where basically you take a group that you know and you're expanding that. And there's a big incentive to do that, because everyone wants that number to be bigger of targetable, of match rate, right? They always want it to be a bigger number, but then that hurts the fidelity. So we use third parties, we use Axiom, we use Blue Kite. We also combine that. Carbon has a tech where they combine that with their own signals and first-party signals, so they can actually qualify the data that's coming through, and that's my favorite approach. And it's definitely been the best match rates and the best sort of outcome that I've seen in terms of performance and KPIs on the ad campaigns.
Thank you, Adam. Anyone else? I don't see any other question. Let's just let you a few seconds if you have some, if you want to ask them in the chat.
Clearly, Fabien and Maayan answered all of the questions.
Yes, that's clearly it. Okay, great. So thank you, all the attendees, all the speakers. Really, thank you. Really interesting. And for sure, this topic of taking back control is not over. The French authority decision make the move, and we'll talk about that in the coming months. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, Lucie. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.